Wonderful families. This is Alex Norton, your PBSES coach, and today we're talking about executive functioning skills. For those of you unfamiliar with what we mean when we talk about executive functioning skills, these are the different skills that neuroscientists and psychologists try to break apart from the things that make us successful as learners and workers, the things we don't necessarily think about when we're busy getting things done and being successful. Things like planning, organizing, managing our time, things like working memory, the ability to focus, the ability to think about our own thinking, metacognition. These mini skills are absolutely crucial to our success, but they have to be taught, and for some students, they come more easily than others. Today, we're going to focus on what some of the broad categories of executive functioning skills are and how we might go about teaching and supporting our students in developing these crucial skills for learning. Though these broad categories keep changing as we learn more, today we're going to focus on 10 skills generally determined to be essential for success. The first executive functioning skill we want to be really intentional about teaching our children is the ability to plan in order to accomplish future goals. You can help your child learn to be an intentional planner by using tools like calendars and planners and having conversations about how they're used. Related but distinct from planning is the skill of organization. You want to use tools like binders, folders, tabs, Post-its, and other tools to help your child learn to develop the ability to maintain a system that keeps their school materials and home materials in an orderly fashion so that they can find what they need when they need it. You also want to teach your child to be intentional time managers. Learning how to estimate the amount of time it will take to complete a task is a learned skill that must be practiced. It can actually be quite tricky. This is something that can be turned into a game. How many minutes do you think it will take to complete fill in the blank? This is a skill that will help when your child has an assignment to do and has to make a guess about how long it will take. Task initiation, the ability to independently get going on a task, is another crucial executive functioning skill to intentionally teach your child. The key is to make part of your teaching the reality that sometimes we have to get started on a project we don't want to because it's part of our responsibility, but we do it anyway because it is part of our responsibility and we are responsible people. We want to be part of getting things done that we care about, even when it's not what we feel like doing in the moment. This is a crucial lesson, and it can be helpful to know that it won't go on forever. Using timers can be helpful, so students know that they'll only be doing that task for a fixed time. Another crucial piece of executive functioning is our working memory, the mental processes that allow us to hold information in our mind while we're working with it. This can be one of the trickiest skills to learn. And oftentimes, in addition to just practicing holding information in our mind while we're working on it, we can also develop skills that help us when our working memory fails us. So writing things down or drawing a picture of something to help us remember it or stay focused on it. Using tools like highlighters or sketches are also ways that help us when our working memory is not as strong as we want it to be yet. Metacognition is another crucial executive functioning skill that can be explicitly taught to our children. Metacognition is thinking about our own thinking. It's basically reflecting on our own skills, on our own successes, on areas where we can improve. And this is a habit that we can teach our children to develop. After they do an assignment, you can ask them about it. How did that assignment go? Do you think you did well? Why do you think you did well? If you were to do that assignment again, what would you do differently? This is especially helpful after receiving feedback from teachers. Oh, what did your teacher say about this? So what are you going to do next time now that you've got that feedback? This can be incredibly effective for helping your children develop the skill of metacognition. What about self-control? Self-control is ultimately about managing and regulating our own feelings and doing things that we don't want to do when it's important that we do those things. Self-control, like attention, the next executive functioning skill, can actually be divided into smaller skills that, especially for primary students, should be taught individually. For instance, let's look at an example where there's a lack of self-control. Perhaps a child wants to go play Legos instead of doing their homework assignment on Seesaw. Self-control would look like the child sitting down and doing their best work on Seesaw before they go out to play with Legos. But this involves many different steps. First of all, this child needs to be able to recognize, I feel frustrated. That's because I want to play Legos, but I am responsible for completing this assignment on Seesaw. They also need to be able to then weigh the cause and effect relationship. I want to do this, but there's more to consider than just what I want to do. I'm not going to just blindly follow that feeling, because I also recognize that if I don't do my work on Seesaw, that I'm not meeting my responsibility, and there are going to be consequences for that. I'm gonna feel bad about not getting my work done. I might not understand something that's important for my learning, etc. Then it involves not only recognizing that cause and effect relationship, those consequences, and thinking through those and kind of feeling those effects. Then it involves, okay, but I still don't want to do this. So then it involves some self-talk, some planning. Well, maybe it will only take me 10 minutes and then I can go play with Legos. So it involves being able to estimate that time. It involves being able to feel that it's just a short amount of time, and then I will be able to go and do this thing that I want to do, and it will be worth it. I'll have the best of both worlds because I'll be able to do my responsibility, and so that will make me feel good, and I'll be doing the right thing, and I'll be able to play with Legos. So that is a lot of thinking. That is a lot of different skills, and it takes a lot of time to learn that impulse control. It takes a lot of practice. And many parents find that, especially when children are young and still developing that prefrontal cortex and still developing all of those skills, that it can be helpful to do some of that work for them, to use tools like a timer, to say the words for them. You're feeling frustrated because you want to go play Legos, but this is your responsibility. Thankfully, you can do both. It's going to take you about 5 minutes to do this. So we will set this visual timer and you can watch it go down. At the end of the 5 minutes, you'll be done and you can go play. We'll check that off your list and you can go play Legos. Won't that be fun? So we're going to do your best work now and then Legos later. Because the longer we spend waiting to get started, the farther away Legos are going to be. So as parents, these are kind of the monotonous conversations you have to have for a while until children are able to develop these skills themselves. But the great thing is that they do, that as we model that, as we work with them, as we reinforce over days and weeks and months and years, they start to internalize that and to do that for themselves. Just like self-control, attention involves a series of mini skills. It's the way your body is positioned to pay attention. It's what your mind is doing while you're paying attention. And so these steps need to be individually taught. For primary students, they need to learn what it looks like to physically pay attention. In our CEL curriculum, we call that eyes watching, ears listening, voice quiet, and body still. And we have motions to show that. But Just as important as teaching students how to look like they're listening, we know that listening is really a mental activity. It's attending, and that takes practice. Timers can also be helpful for this. As we, like athletes, we can develop our attention, our stamina for attention, just like we develop stamina for other tasks. Maybe we're able to pay attention for 3 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and then 7 minutes. Like all executive functioning skills, perseverance and attention are deeply intertwined. Perseverance is also about sustaining attention and engagement, but particularly when things get difficult. And this involves a lot of positive self-talk and the growth mindset that as we work hard, we can get better. And that it's important in certain situations to keep going until we get something. And this is something that is explicitly said and practiced. Finally, we want to teach our children to think flexibly. Life is full of surprises. This moment in our history is a perfect example of that. And we want to make sure that our children are able to shift gears, to transition. If our children are struggling with this, it can help in the beginning to let them know in advance when there's going to be a change and to explicitly address this situation by saying, our schedule is going to be a little bit different today because of this. Sometimes that can feel uncomfortable, and we can deal with that by talking to ourselves, by telling ourselves things are going to be different, but I can handle it. It's going to be okay. And over time, learning to see that that's true. It takes a lot of time investment to teach our children these executive functioning skills, but as you can see, they are crucial parts of being successful in school and in life. Without these skills, it's a lot harder to do the complex tasks involved in our learning and working and living environments. So they are well worth that time investment. If you need additional support teaching your child executive functioning skills, please don't hesitate to reach out to your child's teacher or to me, your PBSES coach, and we can provide you with support or meet with you to discuss ways that would help your child with their individual learning needs. Thank you for watching today. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time.